Hi there, and welcome to Tammy Talk TV, where we share ways to live a healthy, happy life. Today I want to continue our sleep discussion. So if you missed the last video, last time we talked about how to set the stage for sleep, how to create an environment that is conducive to sleep, specifically temperature, light, and noise. Now if you missed that, I'm going to link it up here and probably down below. But once we have the conditions perfect for sleeping, then we have to be very careful not to sabotage ourselves. And there are 3 items that will sabotage us almost every time, and those are alcohol, caffeine, and electronics. So let's start with alcohol. Alcohol is one of those things, it's lovely to have what they call a sundowner, right? So after dinner, have an after dinner drink. We all enjoy that. But did you know that alcohol turns to sugar in the bloodstream? And very often when you start to process that sugar, it will wake you up and you will be wide awake. So have you ever noticed that when you have a drink after dinner, you tend to wake up about 2, 3 a.m. or 4 to 5 hours after you fall asleep? Maybe not that long, maybe like 3 to 5 hours after you fall asleep, and you're just wide awake with what's called monkey mind. And monkey mind is when you feel like you have a monkey in your brain that's just grabbing at one thing after another. Oh, let me worry about this, let me worry about that, let me think about this, let me think about that. The only thing you can't think about is getting back to sleep. So if you've ever experienced monkey mind, or if you experience it on a regular basis, be aware alcohol is a huge contributor to that. Because although it makes you sleepy initially, it will wake you up 3 to 5 hours later with a serious case of monkey mind. So what I've learned is if I'm going to drink, I have a cocktail before dinner, and that way for some reason when I eat dinner, it tends to kind of offset that effect. So if you're going to drink, either drink before dinner or have a bite to eat before bed, which it's not really good to go to bed on a full stomach either, but you need something to counterbalance that sugar in your system. So a little protein of some sort will help offset that. Caffeine is another huge contributor to insomnia, but with caffeine it's not like alcohol. Alcohol will initially make you sleepy. Caffeine doesn't work like that at all. If you have too much caffeine, then it's going to make it impossible to go to sleep. And as you know, the longer you lay there, the more wide awake you get. So I recently read that the half-life on caffeine is 5 hours. I think it's 5 hours. Right? So in 5 hours, you have half the effect. In 10 hours, you have a quarter of the effect. So caffeine follows you around all day. If you have a cup of coffee late in the afternoon, it could very well be affecting your sleep patterns at night. So if you have trouble falling asleep, consider your caffeine consumption later in the day. And it's not just coffee. It can be things like black tea or dark chocolate, but coffee is the leading culprit. So look at your caffeine intake after lunch and play with that and just see if that might be what's causing you the trouble. Now little known, well it's really not little known anymore, but a fact is that electronics also create insomnia because they produce a blue light, and that blue light not only sends a signal to the brain that it's time to wake up, but it also tells the brain to stay awake. So if you have trouble going to sleep, if you're having insomnia, again, it's not like alcohol. It doesn't put you to sleep on the front end and then wake you up. Electronics just keep you from getting sleepy. So I actually use that to my advantage. If I'm really sleepy at like 8 o'clock in the evening, I'll pull out my tablet and look at something online, and that little dose of blue light wakes me right up. But if you're having trouble sleeping, be aware electronics are a huge culprit of that. And if you sleep with the television on, that is immediately sabotaging you before you even try to go to sleep. So if you're dealing with insomnia, look at your electronics usage. Now, I don't necessarily turn the television off before bed, but always at bedtime, all the electronics go off, not just to sleep, because when you let them go to sleep, they generally have some sort of indicator light, and that too can send that signal to your brain that it's time to wake up. So make sure all your electronics are off. That way they don't flash, they don't dingle, they don't make any kind of noise or light to interrupt your sleep patterns. Okay, so those are the 3 worst ways of self-sabotage for sleep. It's alcohol, caffeine, and electronics. So if you're having trouble sleeping, if you're waking up and not being able to go back to sleep, pay attention to your alcohol consumption. If you just flat can't go to sleep, look at caffeine, specifically after lunch. If you're having a cup of coffee in the afternoon, you may not feel it, but it could very well be affecting your sleep patterns. And your electronics. If you're having trouble going to sleep, either consider turning your electronics off well before bed, or put a blue light filter on the ones that you were looking at before bed, and it will filter out that blue light that is so detrimental to our sleep patterns. And it's like looking at it almost through sunglasses. So you can still see it pretty well, but it's not emitting that bright blue light, which we don't really notice, but our brain picks it up as a signal to not only wake up, but stay awake. Okay, so that's our lesson for the day. We will be back next time with more tips for sleep. Until then, here's wishing you health and happiness. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so that you get a reminder when there's a new video.